So the question I'm going to ask to Bolavo is more on, all right, so let's say um, data breaches happens. You've talked about unauthorized access to sensitive financial data. What do you advise that organizations should do in effectively mitigating this risk? And are there any kind of comprehensive protocols that you advise that they should implement to ensure swift and efficient responses during a breach?
All right, thanks, MJ, for the question. So to run through it quickly, because I know we are out of time. So mitigating the risk of data breaches, organizations should align to. Some of them have been, from my own experience, especially in the financial sector, some controls are in place, but some need to be improved on, some need to be properly adhered to, like religiously followed. Would start from implementing strong access controls. We've seen organizations that have so many controls in place, but identity security is not effective. Privileged account management, ensuring role-based access indeed, actually. So having strong access control, would help you, mitigate specific data breach. Regularly updating and patching systems, that is a no, as in, it's a conversation we have, and I'm sure Jumoke talks about this every month, from a patch perspective. Encrypting sensitive data, it's becoming a thing now. It used to be a bit of a challenge, especially in the financial services sector, from an integration point of view, still making the data readable or useful. But now, it's achievable, and we're succeeding at it from a digital perspective. The cheapest and the most affordable, that is educating employees on security best
Mm,
practices. Very affordable,
mm,
super free. You can do it every day.
mm,
It's like evangelizing. Just be a Jehovah Witness from a cybersecurity perspective. Keep educating, keep evangelizing. Um, Monitor systems for suspicious activities. So monitoring and incident response. We've seen organizations invested so much money on security controls, but they are not monitoring. They're not checking data. They don't know the advantages or benefits of correlation activities on their security monitoring tools. And this more attention needs to be paid to this. Thank God for the concept of MSSP now. Businesses can focus on business as usual while you let your outsourced security provider, perform in-depth, monitoring, alerting, reporting for you effectively. Conduct regular security assessments. I have customers, I've seen, organizations, financial institutions trying to save cost on regular security assessments. With AI, you need to regularly assess, draw up attack models for, how would I put it? Different attack methods and patterns should be thrown at the AI models to see how
mm,
secure they are. It's really important. So talking about protocols quickly, so protocols that can be put in place for swift and efficient breach response is first is have a plan in place. So incident response plan, have a breach response plan in place. You need to be able to, and it has to be detailed, outline it, from the first to the end. In the event of a breach, include notification as in procedures, containment measures, eradication steps, you need to have that in place. Next will be assemble a breach response team. So have a team assigned. So I remember working in the financial services, I was part of a couple of teams, and we carry out tabletop exercises, we carry out preventive or proactive tests periods where we don't need to wait for an actual incident. We need to be sure these controls put in place actually would work. It's very critical. Contain the breach, in the situation where there's an actual breach, you need to be able to contain it. And it might, or it will most likely always involve isolation of the compromised system, shutting down, affected services or application. I've had a customer that didn't want to shut down because more customers were onboarding, but meanwhile, the
mm,
fraud was going on. And they're like, hey, you need to make a decision, so take production down. And investigate the breach, obviously, and it involves, scoping the breach appropriately, knowing what data was compromised, and, also knowing how the breach occurred, like a root cause analysis. How did it happen? And then notify affected individuals and regulators. This is a very
Mm,
interesting one. Obviously, letting your customers know. For the regulators bit, I think we're improving more on this. Harrison would know, better, letting your regulators know about specific breaches. But then again, it used to be a challenge. There's that fear of why share this information, the impact
mm,
it would have on the brand of the organization. But, sharing is a bit of a community effect. Organization A has been breached based on this pattern, and we see it happen globally. They share information, and it's a bit informational for us that, okay, this has happened, with organization A in Helsinki, so every other person in the world should be able to, put adequate controls in place to mitigate, that kind of exposure or breach. And then finally, I would say learning from the breach, conduct like a post-mortem analysis, identify areas for improvements within the organization's security posture. And this also most always extends to the community too. So, and it shows responsible, in fact, the disclosure bit is more of a responsible disclosure. And then also sharing the learnings is also from a responsibility perspective that, it's like CSR. We're putting it out there. We were breached. This is how we were breached, and these are the controls we've put in place. It's the responsible thing to do. That's what I would say.
thank you so much. That's really, really